Hello everyone, myself Jaya Agarwal, Assistant Professor Political Science from SPCGC Ajmer. Today we are going to study about the one of the most important parts of our Indian freedom movement, that is Cabinet Mission Plan. So today we will discuss the main features of the Cabinet Mission Plan and how it was sent to India by the British government to solve the problems in India, or the Indian problems. So let's start. In 1945, Labour government came to power in England and Lord Wavell was called for consultations by the Labour government in September 1945. Immediately after his return, he issued a statement expressing a keen desire on the part of the new government to introduce self-government in India at the earliest possible time. So this is quite clear that when the cabinet mission was formed by the Labour government, which came to power in England in 1945. The Labour government proved that it was quite earnest to solve the Indian problem. During the winter of 1945-46, the Labour government sent a delegation consisting of some important members of the British Parliament to examine the desirability of transferring power to Indians. On March 23, 1946, three cabinet members, Patrick Lawrence, who was Secretary of State for India under the Labour government, Sir Stafford Cripps and Mr. A.V. Alexander, arrived in India. As the Congress and the Muslim League could not arrive at an agreement, the cabinet mission, with the full approval of the British government, suggested their own plan for solving the constitutional deadlock that is known as Cabinet Mission Plan. And after pointing out the impracticability of the Pakistani scheme, the plan recommended that the new constitution of India should take the following basic form. Suggestions were like this. First one is there should be a union of India embracing both British India and the state, which should deal with foreign affairs, defense and communications, and should have the powers necessary to raise the licenses required for the above subjects. Second one is the union should have an executive and a legislature constituted from British India and states representatives. Any question raising a major communal issue in the legislature should require for its decision a majority of the representatives present and voting of each of the two major communities, as well as majority of all the members present and voting. Third one was all subjects rather than the union subjects and all residuary powers should vest in the provinces. The states were to retain all subjects and powers other than those ceded to the union. Means the subjects or the powers which were vested uh, to the union, and all the other powers and subjects were given to the states, and all residuary powers will vest in the provinces. Provinces should be free to form groups with executives and legislatures, and each group could determine the provincial subjects to be taken in common. Thus, the constitution of the union and of the group should contain a provision whereby any province could, by a majority vote of its legislative assembly, call for a consideration of the terms of the constitution after an initial period of 10 years and at 10 years intervals thereafter. The plan also provided for the constitution making machinery. Accordingly to it, the provinces were to elect the members of that body on the basis of one representative for 1 million of the population. The Sikh and Muslim legislators were to elect the quota of their communities determined on the population basis. Others were to elect the representative for the rest of the population. a plan for the interim government was also included in this scheme. So this was the scheme presented by the cabinet mission plan, which was sent to India by the Labour government, which came to power in England in 1945, and along with the three cabinet members, Patrick Lawrence, who was Secretary of State for India under the Labour government, Sir Stafford Cripps, and Mr. A.V. Alexander, who arrived in India on March 23rd, 1946, and this delegation first tried to make an agreement between the Congress and the Muslim League, but when they found that the Congress and the Muslim League cannot arrive at an agreement, could not arrive at an agreement, then the cabinet mission, with the full approval of the British government, suggested their own plan for solving the constitutional dialogue, and uh, it recommended so many uh, it gave its best to solve the Indian problem, and with the impracticability of the Pakistan scheme, and some suggestions we have studied here, that like there should be a union of India. So he supported the union of India, which included both the British India as well as the states which were earlier known as provinces, and which should deal with foreign affairs, defense, and communications, and should have the powers necessary to raise the licenses required for the above subjects. Similarly, the union will have an executive and a legislature, and which was constituted from British India and states representatives. So here we can see that the cabinet mission did not ignore the states, and they gave the total equal importance to the states as of union, and as well as they divided there was the we can say that powers were divided between the union and the states, and all subjects other than the union subjects and all statutory powers should be vested in the provinces. The states were to retain all subjects and powers other than those ceded to the union, and they also gave the power to the provinces that were free to form groups with executives and legislatures, and each group could determine the provincial subjects to be taken in common, and the most important thing of the most important point of this plan was that it provided for the constitution making machinery, and accordingly to it, the provinces were to elect the members of that body on the basis of one representative for 1 million of the population, and here we find that the Sikh and Muslim legislators were to elect the quota of their communities determined on the population basis, and others were to elect the representative for the rest of the population. A plan for the interim government was also included in this scheme. So the main points are the provision for the interim government, the provision for the constitution making machinery, the provision for the provinces to make uh, to form groups with executives and legislators, and the division of subjects, along with the provision of Union of India, and the union will have an executive and a legislator constituted from British India and states representatives. So that's all for today from my side. Thank you very much.